Okay, now I want to hop back to something that you said as far as safety
Mhm.
and somebody walking away. And I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think last season we saw a catastrophic situation with Grosjean from Haas with that
That was
whole
2 seasons ago. That was in,
2 seasons ago.
2020. Yeah.
And that was a horrible situation. Like, I don't think anybody while that was happening thought that he was going to come out of those flames and out of that car.
Mhm.
But just speak a little bit from the engineering side, the feature that saved him and how critical that is. Because, man, I'm being honest, to go through a guardrail to that magnitude and that speed and see that car in half, I really didn't think he was coming out of that.
Yeah, so I think the thing, so just to be clear, what really saved him was everything, but the
Okay.
thing that most obviously saved him was the halo.
Was the halo.
And the halo is something that, is aerodynamicists don't like it because it makes dirty air going to the engine on the rear wing and things, but it's a safety device that is the best solution to a problem of head injuries. And as I said, there's many other features of the car that were also helpful, fuel tanks that don't immediately release all their fuel normally,
Right.
fire resistant things, and clothing that has a requirement for how long it can maintain itself in a fire before burning. And there are so many things that were a part of that. But the reality is, as you mentioned, going through the barrier, this particular type of barrier is called Armco. It's
Okay.
the kind you see all around Monaco, for example. That type of barrier in the past, in the 70s and in the 80s, if someone was in a situation where they actually penetrated that Armco, I mean, there's 100% fatality rate essentially in accidents like that. Francois Sauver is a good example. But what I would say is that every single time that there's been an accident, people have taken a step back and made an effort to learn something to make it better for the next time. And even with Grosjean's case, he survived that accident, but his hands were very badly burned,
Yeah, hands
right?
were very badly burned.
And part of the reason for that is because t- the tactile nature of driving an F1 car, you need to be able to feel, the steering wheel and feel it and be able to push buttons. And the thicker and more protective the gloves are, the harder
You
that
lose that
is.
sensitivity.
So
Yes.
they'd already had like, oh, we can back off on the thermal protection potentially of the gloves as a balance to be able to give the drivers more feel. But now they're saying, yeah, that's really not acceptable either. So they've
Mhm.
made an effort to have new gloves for 2021. I think it was, even had them last year, that are or maybe it was this year, but they're stronger. They have more thermal protection, but still
Okay.
have the feel that you need. So we're learning things all the time. And you mentioned the
Yeah.
car splitting in half. That does seem very dramatic, but what
Yes.
I will say is that it reveals something about the cars that people don't really realize, in that these F1 cars are not like a chassis, and then you stick an engine in it, and then you put
Right.
like a suspension in it to the chassis, and then
It's
like
not
you
like a G
go.
body.
Yeah, these are, everything is a fully stressed member, right? So you have a monocoque, which ends like right at the back of where the driver sits and everything. This is the front suspension is bolted to the inputs of that, but the engine is bolted directly to the back of the monocoque with, like, I think it's 6 bolts. And then the gearbox is bolted to the back of that, and then the rear suspension is bolted to the gearbox. Not only does that reduce the weight of the car and improve things aerodynamically, but it kind of makes it modular in a way that
Mhm.
other things aren't. So it is true that it shouldn't happen. Engines should not be coming off of the monocoque, but it's not quite the same thing as ripping a full chassis in half, because in principle they're already separated. It's
Right.
just that they're connected with the bolts.
Right. And that kind of goes back to what you said, anything man made with the right stresses and forces is
Yeah,
perfect,
I
right?
promise you, if I drop an F1 car out of a C-130, it's gonna break.
Right. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.